started painting at a very young age. I think it's probably how my mind works best. My mind and hand are actually pretty well coordinated, whether they look good from the outside or not. So that was all I wanted to do from the time I was very young. I went to Rhode Island School of Design, and I was very surprised that I got in. It was very competitive and very cheap in those days. But I did get in, and it was the first time in my life where I felt that I was surrounded by like people. You know, that's a nice thing for, I was 17, and you know, you're always looking around for some place where you fit, even if it's not you're not looking for comfort, but people who are thinking the same way. So it was great. I think I've always been inclined to work figuratively, and then I was painting very small. Partly just I worked at the kitchen table, or I had a 6-foot by 9-foot studio in our old house, and the first show I ever had was in 1970, and it was great. You know, I realized that was a really positive thing for me. And at first, when I started painting big, there were some paintings that I really loved that have, early on I would make repeated patterns because I was doing it with the #1 brush when they were small. And I read someplace that the Paisley pattern is originally this, you know, this fist print. And if you do it, it makes sense. So there are a lot of paintings of mine that have sort of rhythmic, big gestures in them, as some kind of a transition from the way I worked small. And then there were a couple of paintings that I did that I had paper punch, and it was when I quit smoking too. I had punched out lots of paper dots, and I would glue these patterns on top of the paintings, which are usually in reproduction not something that you see. You see them if you're in the reel or if you're up close. And that was also just a sustaining gesture when I was working. Instead of puffing away on a cigarette, you know, I'd get out the glue and start. It worked. I'm not smoking, so. You can only move so far in your head, or I can only move so far in my head. Eventually I have to start to put it down, and then you have some kind of a conversation. I have a conversation with myself. So very, very small things can actually keep me working for a whole year, you know. It doesn't go A, B, C, it does something else, but it starts with a very small idea that gets really big. When I'm working, I work full-time. I don't pay much attention to other things. I don't go see other people's work. It's too bad, you know, but it's confusing. And sometimes things take a long time, 6 months or a year. Sometimes, incredibly, I can paint a very large painting in a week. And that's just serendipitous. I don't know, the idea and the physical act come together really well, but I call that dessert because it actually doesn't happen that often. Usually it's much more. You think the idea is really clear, and then it gets muddled in process, and it takes a long time to resolve it. You know, I've been lucky. I've been successful, but I wasn't always successful. You keep going for some other reason. And the fact that my paintings sell is nice, but it isn't why I go to my studio every day. I think for me it's just really important. This is how I function. and I don't feel apologetic. You know, I think there's a sense that we need to sort of serve humanity in some way, and I'm not really doing that, but I'm doing nobody any harm. And every once in a while I find out that something that I've painted gives somebody great pleasure, and that's a really, that's an extraordinary thing. So it's not what you're working for when you're making them. It's after the fact, but I think we need art, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I feel really lucky to be part of that. I mean, I need literature in a really strong way. And I think I need art in a different way, because I probably look at art differently from somebody who doesn't make it. But I think it's, and music, I mean, they're all really important. So I realized that they don't stop when they leave my studio. I'm assuming if somebody wants to buy or have one of my paintings on their wall, that they want to look at it. And that's really amazing that you make that connection with a total stranger. I guess that's part of it. It's great. It's really, but it's not, it isn't in the plan. That isn't why you do it. I don't know, I find that really, it's after the fact, but it's a really nice part of it. Public art is tricky. It's hard, much harder than just making something and putting it out there, because generally you're dealing with sites and contractors and that sort of thing. It has a lasting, it has a lasting effect on the community, whether they like it to begin with or not. I think people come around to things that are ideas that are initially difficult for people. All of a sudden they become, it becomes part of your fabric. And at some point I may just give up, I don't know, but so far I haven't.
Why would you want to give up?
I don't want to, but I suppose there's one day I might wake up and have nothing more to say with my hand and my brain and my eyes, so it's a possibility.
Seattle's public art collection includes over 400 permanent installations. See more of them at seattle.gov/arts.